to this series of seminars that we are preparing for you. Today we have a Professor Dr. Marcelo Knobel. But before, I want to say some few words about this initiative. So please let me show you the following. So welcome to the series of seminars in magnetisms and magnetic materials. This is an event that is organized by ALMA. And ALMA stands for Asociación Latinoamericana de Magnetismo in Spanish. So this is an association that is under construction. So we hope to gather more interested people during this series of talks so we can grow and make this a reality in the near future. Today session, so many of you are connected via WebEx. So the WebEx main room is this is the link that if you are watching in other platforms, so this is the link. So the nice thing about WebEx is that you can actually use the microphone to directly ask to the speaker. So if that's something you want to do, so you can switch to the WebEx room anytime. But also for people that may have some sort of inconvenience with WebEx, so we are streaming via YouTube Live and Facebook Live. Those are the links if you want to connect to any of those during any time in case that you have some problems, either WebEx or YouTube or Facebook. So please do that and stay in touch. So this is possible thanks to these people that is here. So these are the nodes in Latin America. So myself, Juan Gabriel Ramirez, I'm from Universidad de los Andes in Colombia. I'm working in magnetism and quantum matter physics. So I'm really honored to be here presenting this to you. But also I want to introduce Professor Dora Albir from Universidad de Santiago de Chile. Professor Francisco Sánchez, Quique, as some people know him, Universidad Nacional de La Plata in Argentina, and Professor Diego Muraca from Universidad Estadual de Campinas, UNICAMP in Brazil. So thanks to them for organize and initiate this association in magnetism in Latin America that we hope that evolves in the time soon. So we need more people. So if any of the assistants or the watchers that are here wants to kind of join us to discuss a little bit more, we will have prepared a roundtable at the end of today's speaker. In this roundtable, we hope to discuss with you some ideas, maybe some suggestions that you may have regarding this series of events or any other future thing that you want to discuss. So we encourage you to stay at the end after the session. But we have already prepared a series of seminars. This is the list of the people that we already confirmed for the next seminars. So we have Professor Miguel Novak from Brazil, Professor Miguel Kiwe from Chile, Professor Marcela Andes from Argentina, and the list we still have to find the specific date, and the date will be is to be announced, basically. But we have them already in the list of our next speakers. So thanks to them for also supporting this initiative. So we are going to introduce session share, and we will choose a different researcher or professor to introduce the speaker in every time we do this. And today's session chair is Maria Eugenia Fortes Broyo. She is a physicist, and she did the PhD at Universidad Autónoma de Madrid. She is currently a postdoc in Brazil. She's an expert in nanoparticles, magnetic materials, nanotechnology, in general, quantum matter physics. So thank you, Maria, for working with us in today's seminar, and we hope that we can also work together in this association in the future. So I'm going to give the floor to Maria, so she's going to introduce our speaker for today. So thank you, everybody, and I hope that you enjoy this talk today.
Thank you. Everybody can hear me? I think so. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. So I'll present Marcelo today. It's a great honor for me to be here. So Marcelo is a full professor of the Institute of Physics, Gleb Wataghin, at the State University of Campinas. He's now the president of UNICAMP since April 2017. He was also vice president of undergraduate programs at UNICAMP between 2009 and 2013, where he was responsible for the implementation of the interdisciplinary higher education program called Prof, which combines social inclusion with general education, for which he received the Peter Murani Prize in Education in 2013. He obtained an honorable mention in the Mercosul Science and Technology Award in 2015 at the category of Integration for the Nanoventura project. He was the executive director of the Brazilian National Nanotechnology Laboratory, LNNano, inside the Brazilian Center for Research in Energy and Materials, called CENIPEM, from 2015 to 2016. He coordinated the Creativity Development Center and was the executive director of the Exploratory Science Museum at UNICAMP. He was a member of the Advisory Committee on Physics and Astronomy from CNPq, and was a member of the Physics Coordination from FAPESP. He's editor of the Journal of Magnetism and Magnetic Materials from Elsevier and Scientific Reports from Nature. He was also editor-in-chief of the Ciência e Cultura magazine of the Brazilian Society for the Progress of Science from 2007 to 2017. His research interests are in the field of magnetism, magnetic materials, in the popularization of science and technology, and in higher education. He has published more than 250 papers in international journals and 15 book chapters. He presented more than 80 invited seminars in several institutions and more than 50 invited talks at international conferences. His scientific papers have received more than 8,500 citations in the literature. He also formed several students that today are researchers or professors in different parts of the world. I just selected some parts of his extended curriculum. And well, it's a great honor to present Marcelo. Marcelo, now the floor is all yours. Thank you for your acceptance of our invitation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Maria. Can you hear me well? I hope so.
Yes.
It's a pleasure to be here. So this is a new thing for all of us to participate in this kind of meeting. And it's a real pleasure to be here. So I can see here from the WebEx application, we have more than 60 people. From YouTube, I was following here, we have more than 150. So this is the kind of reality that we are living nowadays in terms of novelty in this new world that we are facing. So it's very hard to make a seminar. Sometimes we invite some speakers to our university, to our department, to our group, and usually if we can find 20 people to attend the seminar, it's very good. So in this kind of situation, we have more than 200 people watching, and this is something that we should learn about and try to make it more frequently. And I appreciate the work made by the group of people, Juan Gabriel, Diego, Dora, Kike, everyone who was thinking on this idea of the Latin America Association of Magnetism. And if you have some time here in Brazil and in Argentina, I know that it's lunchtime when we finish. But of course, if you have at least 15-20 minutes to discuss a little bit about this idea, I think it will be great. So I will try to share here my presentation, and the idea here is to try to give it in English, and then so that we can reach a broader audience, and also try to make a proper starting of these sessions of presentations to make a really introductory talk about nanomagnetism. And I will, of course, follow some seminar that I have been implementing and giving for the last 20 years, I would say. So I apologize for the ones who already know part of this seminar. I have been giving parts of or previous uh, previous versions of this presentation in several places, and probably a few of you already had the opportunity to watch it. Also, I could see from the list, and I'm very happy to have here in this seminar as well many former students and many visitors that we had in the past in the lab, and so it's a little bit nostalgic as well, this presentation. I'm so sorry that we are not together so that we could have a nice lunch together or a happy hour afterwards this seminar. But anyway, this is the situation we are facing right now, and I would like to extend my gratitude to everyone who contributed in some way to the magnetism community. So let me start. Speaking on coronavirus and the pandemic that we are facing just right now, I was trying to see some motivation in order to show the importance of nanomagnetism or magnetism in general. And I have found one interesting thing that I don't know if everyone knows, at least from our community of magnetism, is that the methods of testing COVID-19 right now, they already use magnetic nanoparticles in order to happen. So usually we take a sample from a person. This sample is mixed in a chemical solution that causes the protein envelope to open, and then the magnetic nanoparticles are added to the solution and with a specific ligand in order to bind the RNA of the virus to the particles. And by magnetic separation, we take out the RNA from the solution. It is cleaned, and then we can have the RNA for analysis in the PCR or whatever machine it's using. So this is something that we don't really realize that already sometimes magnetism is all over the applications that we can have, and certainly the nanomagnetism communities should be proud of this kind of application. Of course, much more can be done, and it's eventually being done right now, trying to make these nanoparticles available, more feasible, and not only for detection or separation in this case, but also for treatment or for diagnosis and whatever it's necessary for this pandemic and other diseases such as cancer, as I will talk a little bit later in this presentation. But before I start, I will give you an idea of the applications, a very quick idea of applications. I will try to be on time. I could speak this kind of presentations I can give in from half an hour to 5 hours. So I will try to keep on time in order to skip some slides and not bore you with all the details of the details of the physics or the applications themselves. I will try to make it clear that I am, let me just show that I am from UNICAMP, the University of Campinas, which is a public university in the state of São Paulo in Brazil. We have around 40,000 students, half of them undergraduate, half of them graduate students. And now I have the honor to be the president of this university as well. So with this slide, I also apologize for maybe not being completely updated in the presentation. I confess that I was working on the presentation I had some time to do it just today in the morning just before starting here. So I had no time to make a real update of the presentation. And also, besides being the president of the university, and as you can imagine, a really challenging time right now, I have also the duty of being the editor-in-chief of the Journal of Magnetism and Magnetic Materials that all of you know very well. I would like just to make a little bit of a publicity so that I can ask you to publish more on the Journal of Magnetism and Magnetic Materials, which is a magazine which has been around for a long time, is a very traditional publication, and we work for the magnetic community. So the impact factor is steadily growing. We have the goal next year, or the other one is to reach, we already reached 1 year above 3 of the impact factor, but we are reaching very good numbers of the impact factor with a rather interesting perspective. Of course, you can reach, in a magazine, you can reach a very good impact factor by reducing the number of papers that you accept or publish. But on the other hand, we are doing that by increasing the number of papers. So you can see here from 2015 to 2019, the number of papers, the total number of papers, in fact, we reached something like 1,500 papers in 2019. So it was a record, and the impact factor keeps is still very good. So the acceptance, so the quantity of papers that are being handled by our editors are around 3,600 papers per year. That means if you make a very easy calculation, it's almost 10 papers per day that we receive. So it's something like very interesting to see that we receive something like 10 papers per day, and we publish eventually 45% of these papers. So out of the 10 that we receive, we accept 4 or 5 eventually. And we are trying to deal with a very interesting speed. So the review speed is we are working hard in order to make it quicker. We are reaching almost 5 weeks of review speed. And in the online article publication time is reducing to eventually 1 week. So after receiving the paper, this is an average, of course, but after receiving a paper, you would expect to have your paper reviewed in 5 weeks, and then, if accepted, published in less than 1 week online. So this is something really interesting. So I would really appreciate if you can consider the Journal of Magnetism and Magnetic Materials for publication in the future. So let me just show a very interesting picture that I found today, and I strongly recommend. I found this paper from one of our editors of the journal at Susumi, Hiroata. He just published it with a group of people a review on Spintronics. And this is quite an interesting picture that you can find. We went from the macroscopic magnets, so that we could here you can, the older ones, at least we recognize here a cassette tape or a video cassette tape, and we were reducing year after year the size of the information, the size of the bit that we can write down the information. I will talk a little bit more about this in few minutes. But then we went to a magneto-optic disk or other hard disks from a development that went from 1956 to 2010, and then we are now working on magnetic random access memory. And whenever we go down in the scale of the size of the bit, we are reaching different physics and different domains of physics that we have to deal with. So we have to work with the anisotropy energy, with the spin diffusion length, with the exchange energy, the mean free path, and so on. So we span this graph in orders and orders of magnitude, and we can really have to develop interesting physics and try to understand better the physics behind this phenomenon. So the hard disk is something that everyone uses. It's a very interesting device that has been developed from many years, and it's I think it's a technological wonder. If you think on even on the engineering of this, so the head to the disk gap is something like 15 nanometers. This is a plot comparing this to a hair diameter. So you can see that this is something that we should work with without touching in order to avoid any friction and any heating. And we have the magnetic film with the domains. And this is something that is not new. The idea of the magnetic recording, I think this is wonderful in terms of history of sciences. The first magnetic recording was made in 1898. 1898. It was a Poulsen in Germany that demonstrated that it was possible to record his voice. He made a steel wire pulling from one wall to the other, and then a recording magnet, and he spoke in this transmitter with a battery here, and so that you can have a current, a signal current that can change the polarization of the magnetic medium from south-north to north-south, and so on. And so this would be one bit, other bit, and so on. So this is the basic idea of the magnetic recording that was done analogically here in this wire. And when he changed the polarity of this arrangement. So in the playback arrangement, he just launched this card from this side to the other one, and then he could hear in this speaker or in this receiver his voice. I confess that it seems simple, but I have never seen this apparatus working. So probably there are some complications in the construction of that, but he managed to do that, and this was the base of the more sophisticated magnetic recording of the future that started with some tapes pulling from one developed one wall to the other. And the idea behind that is recording magnet, and which is here or depicted transmitter, and in each track you have a bit, and so that you can have which is current, a zero signal or current, a magnetization pointing in one direction, polarization in the other direction, and then you can have south-north, the record south of an information. So this would be one bit, other bit, and so on. So this is the idea, is that you can have different domain recording that was done analogically here in this wire, and when he record this information, he made, and the evolution of this was amazing in terms of arrangement. So in the development, and this is I would say a decade card that was wonderful for this industry. One, and then 1990 to 2000, for example, speaker or this receiver his voice. I confess that I was decreasing year after year, but I have never seen 2002. This is what I think it's amazing. In 2002, working. So in the market, probably we had some complications in bit size of something like 30 nanometers to do that, and this was the base of the It's more sophisticated already in the nanoscale recording by the beginning of the future that started from 10 years from 1 to 2000. So this is something that which is really amazing in terms of technology development. The problem here to deal with that structure, you have a bit this on a longer scale. You can have from the first current drive zero signal comes a magnetization point in one direction, polarization in the other direction, and then you can plot the record density and so on. So this would be square inch other bits. So you can see that here the idea is that you can have different different analogic cells here sizes this wide, and when he record this for less than and the evolution of this was amazing in terms of arrangements and development, and this is I would say the applications and development that was wonderful for the other one, and then here you can have some size landmarks. The first I confess that system has decreased here perpendicular, but I have never seen 2002. So what I think is amazing. In 2000, there are many developments in science. We had some applications immediately, something like 20 nanometers by high to the it's more magnetic already in the nanoscale recording by the beginning. Nowadays we have to take from 1 to 2000. So this is something that which is really amazing in terms of technology development. The problem here to rise a bit this on a longer scale. You can have from the first current drive zero signal comes a magnetization point in one direction, polarization in the other direction, and then you can plot the record and so on. So the problem is other so you can see that here and more you can have different main for industries analogic cells here irritation of which side and when he records the problem less than and the evolution of this was amazing that we can development and this is I would say applications development for each side which are the other one, and then here you have a size energetically favorable. The first magnetism point in one decrease per direction, and the magnetization pointing to the other direction. What I can see there is about there are many developments in science, magnetic and isotopic applications, immediate something like transfer by high, and of course multiple magnetic already in the nanoscale by the beginning. Nowadays we have to take here from 1 to 2000. This is something that is really amazing in terms of technology development. It's to reduce the this longer scale you can have from the first current drive just magnetization point in one direction, polarization in the other direction, and you can record someone and so on. So the problem is you can see that here temperature more you can have different main for industries analogic cells here irritation of the side, and when you can have the problem of less than energetically favorable. Therefore, I can feel point in one decrease per direction, and have never seen to the other direction. What I can see there is about there are many developments in science, magnetic and isotopic applications, something like transfer by high, and of course this was magnetic already in the nanoscale. What is going on in the beginning? Nowadays there are many ideas from 1 to 2000. So this is something that is really amazing in terms of technology. It's to reduce the energetically wherever direction you read there are many science, of size of the particles in order to well describe the magnetism of the particles. I will skip a little bit of the physics so that to show that there are many ways in order to try to avoid the superparamagnetism in the applications. People are trying to use new magnetic materials in order to have a larger anisotropy energy, so that you can have a reduced volume, so that this product here, the anisotropy times the volume, keeps more or less the same. Or you can have exchange couple media, you can have perpendicular recording. The industry has been dealing with this problem since the beginning of the years 2000, and they are trying to solve new ways in order to keep improving the areal density of recording. So there are many ideas I have seen in this review today. There are microwave assisted recording. This idea here is from Hitachi. They try to make a sample here with a stronger anisotropy. The problem is, when you have a stronger anisotropy, is that it's very hard to change the direction. Even if you want to write size of information, is in the hard. Well, that you can hit the sample before making the right of the physics, for example. This is something that was tested. That there are many it's not in the market in order to try to avoid the superparamagnetism in the applications. People are trying to use with new magnetic materials in order to have a larger, also some ideas of pattern media, so that you can have information on the nanoscale product, which is rather interesting. Anisotropy times the volume keeps more or less the same. Of reading this information, for example, exchange couple media, MFM, you can have perpendicular recording, ones. In order the industry has been information dealing with this problem since the beginning of the years 2000, and there are other ideas to solve. For example, is new ways in order to keep completely improving the areal density in order to avoid or to change. There are many ideas I have recorded. This idea was made by ALMA, microwave assisted in the IBM recording, and this idea here is so-called race track. They try to hit when they make a sample here with a stronger by anisotropy. The problem is, when you have a stronger anisotropy, is that it's very hard in order to make change the direction. Even if you want to write down the information, it's so hard. You can have a configuration like this one, a race sample, race track storage array. You have the recording, you have the writing process. That there are many, it's not in the market, domains to try to avoid moving superparamagnetism in the applications. People are trying to use to have the new magnetic materials in order to have a large, also developed in the last few years, so that you can store other ideas which are rather than this product, which is here. For example, times the magnetism are the same. Of reading the information, for example, exchange couple information. This is have perpendicular zeros. You can have in order very interesting information dealing with this problem in the beginning of the years 2000. There are other ideas to solve. For example, are new ways in order to keep completely structure magnetic structure, which are rather stable to avoid or to change. There are many ideas I have recorded. This idea, then you can have microwave assisted in the IBM recording, and this idea here is so-called Hitachi. They try to hit when they make a sample here with a stronger store information anisotropy. The problem is, when you have a stronger anisotropy here, you can see it's very hard to make change happen. This is a relation of size information hard. You can have a configuration like this one, a race sample, race storage array. You have the recording, you have the writing process. There are many, it's not in the market domains to try to avoid moving superparamagnetism in the application. This is something that people are trying to we are using right now for new magnetic materials. There are many, this is something that is also developed in the last few years, and other ideas which are rather than this product. And there are many ways in order to generalize scaling polarized recording. You can have, for example, change information. This is you can have in order to information dealing with size problem in the beginning of this 2000. There are other ideas to solve. For example, are new ways in order to keep completely structure magnetic structure, which are rather stable to avoid or to change. There are many ideas, important ideas, then you can have a new IBM recording how these ideas also they make a gene sample, they can be stored information. The problem is when you have a stronger current here, you can see it's very hard to make changes. You can have raise sample, raise value, storage array, recording, you have a writing show, there are many, you have moving, applications is something that people are trying to we are using right now in new magnetic materials. There are many also use other implementations around and there are many ways more generalize security polarize we are going to change computer information you have problem other ideas, for example, are you try to share keep magnetic there are many ideas then you have recording how these ideas also they make a gene sample they can be stored the problem is when you have here and then it's very hard to change that applications is something that people are trying to we are using right now for new magnetic materials. There are many something that people actually use other very natural around there are many ways you have more generalize security change to the direction of them you have other ideas but we try to share something that people are trying to we are not right now new magnetic materials. There are many actually other very natural around there are many you can have more generalize security change to the direction of them you have other ideas but we are trying to share other very The hysteresis loop so that you can eventually Also as applications of contrast agents in magnetoresonance imaging. So here you can see here, which is really an interesting application for you can really have very detailed information on the magnetoresonance. Of course, we have a completely different open field in many areas that I won't have time to show here. In the biomagnetism field, for example, in the magnetic bacteria, in the paleomagnetism, magnetic inks, a lot of applications of magnetism in medicine, in the sensor area, in the magnetoencephalography and whatever you would think on. And of course, all the new field of quantum computing, which is another possibility for the magnetic nanoparticles. So I will try to just finish with an interesting idea that you sometimes you find nanoparticles when you don't even expect. This is a study of a homing pigeon. They have found, the researchers never understood why the pigeons can really sense the magnetic field of the Earth. You know that they can sense and they can reach a specific area. Also, as applications of contrast agents recently found that there are many regions of the which is really an interesting application for animals. You can really have magnetic very detailed how this information is connected to the brain and how this information is processed. It's something that nobody understands. Open field in many areas that I will probably have time to show here. Is something that the biomagnetism field, for example, in the magnetic bacteria. So in the I would like to stop magnetic right now. I know that there are a lot of applications of magnetism medicine. 45 minutes. I think it's enough for a webinar. And of course, my point is that there is a field of open computing road, which is another yet possibility for the area of magnetism, magnetic materials, nanomagnetism. I will try to, I hope, to just finish with an interesting, especially the idea students that are watching this sometimes you find to keep working on magnetic materials when you don't even expect. This is a study. There are many of a homing pigeon. Understand? They have found, the researchers never understood why the pigeons can really sense the magnetic field of the Earth. You know that they